Welcome to this deep dive into the heart of a lost civilization, the Planar Imperium. You provided us with excerpts from Imperium's finest, their own guide to the technology that made them legendary. We're talking power armor weapons, vehicles, all fueled by a blend of magic and tech. That's just mind-blowing.
It's like we've stumbled upon a blueprint to a civilization that mastered both science and sorcery. What's intriguing is that Imperium's finest reads like an instruction manual, almost as if they wanted this knowledge to be rediscovered.
Okay, so the book dives deep into the Planar Imperium's elite warriors, the Ultra Soldiers. These weren't your average grunts. They were enhanced by technomagical suits. That made them walking weapons.
And not just any weapons. Each suit seems to be tailored to a specific fitting. Fighting style. Imperium's finest mentions a ranking system, where these Ultra Soldiers could gain new abilities and upgrade their armor. As they rose through the ranks, it even mentions unique relics they could acquire, which suggests a level of customization and power that's hard to fathom.
You've also highlighted something called Ultra Armor Mastery that they could unlock at level 18. Think about it, becoming so in tune with your armor that its abilities are doubled in effectiveness. That's some serious next-level stuff.
It points to a deep connection between the Ultra Soldier and their suit, a level of integration that goes beyond simply wearing it, almost like a symbiosis. But it's not just about the individual power. The sheer variety of suits outlined in Imperium's finest suggests a strategic depth to the Planar Imperium's military might.
Right. They had suits for everything, reconnaissance, heavy assault, you name it. But it's not just the broad categories, it's the specific suits. That really caught my eye. Like, check out the NVS 57 Phantom Cloak. This thing was built for stealth, made from something called Noctium alloy. That actually bends light. Imagine being nearly invisible, shimmering like a heat mirage. That's not just tech, that's practically magic.
It implies a culture that prized cunning and precision, alongside raw power, to master light itself. It's just a deep understanding of physics and the very fabric of reality.
Then you've got the BRS-47 Iron Maul, a heavy assault suit. That screams raw power, forged from blackened obsidian steel, with runes that flare to life, with scorching heat. Sounds like something straight out of a heavy metal album cover.
The Iron Maul evokes a sense of overwhelming force, perhaps even a culture that revered strength and dominance. It begs the question, what kind of enemies would necessitate such devastating power?
And for sheer coolness factor, let's not forget the FRZ-02 Glacius, this elemental manipulation suit, is described as gleaming silver blue with frost patterns that shimmer like snowflakes. Imagine wielding the power of ice itself. That's got to be visually stunning.
Glacius suggests a mastery over an element, often associated with control and precision, perhaps even a touch of artistry.
But hold on, because things get really wild when we start talking about the temporal manipulation suits, the TMP-14 time waver. Imagine manipulating time itself, slowing down enemies, blinking out of existence, even rewinding time to undo damage.
The ability to manipulate time raises profound questions. What does it say about the Planar Imperium's understanding of causality? Did they grapple with the ethical implications of wielding such power? And what if something went wrong? Could they even control the consequences of altering time itself?
And then there's the PLN-33 Astral Voyager, designed for interplanar exploration. We're talking a suit that can withstand the perils of different dimensions and even teleport across vast distances. This is some serious sci-fi stuff.
The Astral Voyager suggests a civilization that wasn't confined to a single world. What drove them to explore other dimensions? Was it scientific curiosity, a thirst for knowledge, or something more ambitious, perhaps even conquest?
Okay, buckle up, because this is where it gets even crazier. Imperium's finest mentions that many of these suits have semi-sentient AIs.
And these AIs are often based on the memories of previous wearers. Imagine carrying the echoes of past battles, the wisdom and experiences of countless warriors within your armor. What would that feel like?
Let's look at a few specific examples. There's the SNK-02 Wraith, another stealth suit. It offers guidance and warnings, drawing on the past experiences of its users, almost like having a ghost in the machine looking out for you.
And there's the ATH-05 Duskweaver, also designed for stealth. This was described as having whispers of past missions and haunted visions of its users' memories. It's almost like the armor itself is haunted.
Whoa, that's sending chills down my spine. And remember the BRS-47 Iron Maul? It's not just a suit, it has a fiery spirit. That demands respect. The book says it can even turn against a user who lacks willpower.
It's a chilling reminder that these suits aren't mere tools. They have a presence, a will of their own, To wield such power, you'd need not only strength and skill, and also a certain mental fortitude, an ability to control, and perhaps even be controlled by, these suits.
And the FRZ Osu Glacius, it's described as having a cold ancient hunger residing within its core. What would it take to unleash that hunger, and what would the consequences be? It's almost like the planar Imperium, created tools that were both powerful and potentially dangerous.
Absolutely. This level of power doesn't come without risks. And Imperium's finest hints at that danger, almost like a warning to those who might seek to rediscover this lost technology.
Imperium's Finest also dives into the history and lore behind each suit. It's like each one has its own story, its own connection to the rise and fall of the planar Imperium.
Each suit is a window into their culture, their beliefs, their triumphs, and perhaps even their downfall.
For instance, the GHT-15 Veil Runner, another stealth suit, was crafted by the Secretive Shadow Guild. Imperium's Finest mentions it was used for covert operations. And retrieving valuable relics, it suggests a society with layers of secrecy, perhaps even an underworld operating, alongside the more official institutions.
And the ATH-05 Duskweaver, the one with the haunting whispers, was used by the Celestial Eyes for high-profile assassinations and infiltrations. Imagine the secrets those memories hold, the political intrigue, the betrayals, the lives lost in the shadows.
Then there's the BRS-47 Iron Maul, the fiery suit that demands respect. The book tells stories of mages trying to bind its power and being consumed by its flames. It's like a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, even within a civilization as advanced as the planar Imperium.
Highlights the fine line between mastery and destruction. They achieved incredible things, but perhaps their reach exceeded their grasp.
And the FRZ-02 Glacius, it's rumored to contain a fragment of something called Eternal Winter, a primordial force that nearly froze an entire plane of existence.
It's a tantalizing glimpse into the true extent of the Planar Imperium's magical prowess. It seems they weren't just manipulating the elements, they were tapping into forces that could reshape reality itself.
But Imperium's Finest goes beyond just power armor. There's a whole arsenal of weapons, vehicles, and other mind-blowing gear detailed within its pages.
It's like they explored every possible avenue of warfare, pushing the boundaries of both magic and technology. They had weapons that could harness the power of life and death, summon entities from other planes, even manipulate the very fabric of space and time.
The arcane rifles, for example, sound absolutely insane. Imagine weapons that can fire blasts
All I can think
of necrotic energy, radiant beams, or even blasts of pure void energy. What would that even look like?
It suggests a mastery over forces that are beyond our current understanding. What would it take to harness such power? And what kind of ethical considerations did they grapple with, wielding such destructive forces?
And then you have the summoner's implements. These things could conjure planar entities, bind spirits, or even open rifts in space. It's like they took the idea of battlefield tactics and threw it out the window.
They weren't just fighting wars, they were bending reality itself to their will. It makes you wonder, did they ever consider the consequences, or were they so focused on power that they ignored the potential for disaster?
Then there are the planar Imperium combat vehicles. Everything from heavily armored tanks to agile scouting vehicles, and even artillery platforms that could rain down destruction from afar. They weren't just relying on individual warriors. They had entire mechanized armies at their disposal.
It paints a picture of a civilization that was both technologically and strategically advanced. They understood the power of combined arms warfare, of coordinating different units and technologies to achieve their objectives.
And get this, they even had sentient battle constructs, giant magically animated constructs with unique personalities and powers. It's like something straight out of a fantasy epic, except these things were real.
It blurs the line between machine and being, raising a whole host of ethical questions. Did these constructs have free will? Were they capable of experiencing
Emotion.
And what were the consequences of using such powerful, potentially sentient beings
for warfare? We've just scratched the surface here. The world of Imperium's Finest is vast and full of wonder, but also holds a dark side, a sense of power that could easily be corrupted or misused.
It's a cautionary tale as much as a blueprint to a lost civilization. It makes you wonder, did their pursuit of power ultimately lead to their downfall? And what lessons can we learn from their story, even if it's just a fragment of a lost world?
It's incredible how detailed Imperium's Finest gets with these suits. It's not just about their powers and abilities. They've included descriptions, materials, even the sensory details of what it's like to wear these things.
Right. Take the phantom cloak we were discussing. It's not just described as invisible. The book talks about the way light refracts around it, creating this shimmering, almost ethereal effect. They even mention a faint hum it emits when activated, like a distant echo.
It's like they were anticipating someone actually trying to recreate these suits, giving them all the information they'd need. I mean, 1,000 years later, and we're practically drooling over the details.
It speaks to the planar Imperium's dedication to knowledge and innovation. This wasn't just about building powerful weapons. It was about perfecting them, understanding every nuance of their function.
And they didn't just focus on the big flashy stuff either. Even the smaller details offer insights into their culture and their values, like the GHT-15 Veil Runner, that stealth suit used by the Shadow Guild. The book mentions its trade value, over 100,000 gold pieces. But on the black market, it could go for 3 times that amount.
It's a glimpse into the economics of power, how even in a technologically advanced civilization, there were still those who sought to profit from secrets and forbidden technology.
Right. It makes you think about the kind of people who would be interested in acquiring such powerful, dangerous tech and what they might do with it.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, can be a double-edged sword. The potential for good is always intertwined with the potential for harm.
Okay, let's go back to those sentient AIs. For a moment, I can't get over the idea of wearing a suit that's imbued with the memories and experiences of past wearers. The SNK-02 Wraith, for example, acts almost like a guardian angel, offering guidance and warnings based on those past missions.
But then you have the ATH-05 Duskweaver, with its whispers and haunting visions. Imagine the psychological impact of wearing that suit, constantly bombarded by fragments of memories, perhaps even reliving the trauma of those who wore it before.
That's some seriously spoopy stuff. Would you even want that kind of connection? To be so intertwined with the past, even if it means gaining valuable insights?
It's a fascinating ethical dilemma. Where do you draw the line between knowledge and burden? And how much of yourself are you willing to sacrifice for power?
And remember the BRS-47 Iron Maul, with its fiery spirit cinder. The book describes it as a force of nature, almost like a star, trapped in human form. But it demands respect, and it can turn on a wearer who lacks the will to control it.
It's not just about physical strength. You'd need a certain mental fortitude to wield such a suit. A weakness of will, a moment of doubt, could be your undoing. It's almost like a test of character, a trial by fire.
There's this one detail about the THK-88 Thunder Fist that really struck me. It's another heavy assault suit, powered by something called a Tempest Core. It can unleash these devastating attacks, like the Thunderclap Strike and Storm Surge.
The Thunder Fist embodies the sheer, destructive power of the Planar Imperium, the ability to harness raw energy and unleash it upon their enemies.
But here's the kicker. The book mentions its attacks have a 10% chance to paralyze the target for a whole round. It's not just about brute force, it's about tactical advantage.
Exactly. They weren't just throwing energy around, they were weaponizing it in incredibly precise and effective ways.
Then there's the HXG-99 Hellstorm, another heavy assault suit that's just as terrifying as its name suggests. It's forged from this rare metal called vulcanite alloy and described as a towering fortress of armor.
The Hellstorm evokes images of an unstoppable juggernaut, a symbol of the Planar Imperium's relentless might.
But get this, it's powered by an infernal Tempest Core, which channels raw, demonic energy.
Now that's interesting. It suggests that the Planar Imperium wasn't afraid to dabble in dangerous forces, even those from realms traditionally associated with darkness and chaos.
It's like they were walking a tightrope, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, but risking their very souls in the process. Did they consider the potential for corruption, or were they blinded by the allure of power?
It's a question that lingers over their entire civilization. How far is too far in the pursuit of power? And what are the consequences of wielding forces we may not fully understand?
Okay, let's switch gears for a moment and talk about the ARS-90 Iron Bastion. This one's all about defense, built to withstand even the most devastating attacks. It's crafted from adamantine plating with overlays of blackened mithril filigree. The book says it exudes an aura of impregnable might.
The Iron Bastion seems to represent the other side of the Planar Imperium, their desire for security, for protecting what they've built.
And it's not just passive defense either. It has this ability called Fortress of Will, where it creates a zone of protection around itself. Allies within the zone gain temporary hit points, and attacks against them have disadvantage.
It's almost like a mobile bunker, a rallying point for their forces. To possess such defensive capabilities suggests they weren't just conquerors, they were also builders, defenders of their civilization.
The book even mentions a specific incident. During the siege of Tharsos, apparently a single Iron Bastion suit heavily damaged and manned by just one soldier held off an entire battalion of invaders for 3 days straight.
That's an incredible testament to the durability of their technology and the resilience of their soldiers. It speaks to their tenacity, their unwillingness to give up, even in face of overwhelming odds.
But let's not forget that behind every suit there was a person, a human being with their own story, their own motivations, their own fears and dreams.
Exactly. We're not just talking about machines here. We're talking about the people who wore them, who fought and died in them.
Okay, get this. The XLN-44 pulverizer. This heavy assault suit is described as being absolutely massive, forged from a dense alloy called Imperium steel.
The pulverizer sounds like the epitome of their heavy hitters. A suit designed for overwhelming force and brute strength.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's powered by a celestial engine core, which channels energy directly from the celestial plane. The book says it causes these glowing fissures to streak across the armor, like cracks on the surface of magma.
That's a powerful image. It suggests they weren't just harnessing earthly forces. They were tapping into something far greater, something almost divine.
And its main attack, the celestial strike, is just as impressive. It channels radiant energy through the core and ignores non-magical armor. Imagine the sheer force of that attack obliterating anything in its path.
They were literally wielding the power of the heavens. But it makes you wonder, did they have any qualms about using such power for warfare? Did they believe they were divinely ordained?
The book also mentions the suit has a lawful neutral alignment, meaning it's programmed to uphold the planar Imperium's code of honor and discipline. It won't respond to chaotic intentions or be used for selfish purposes.
That's fascinating. It suggests they were aware of the potential for corruption. Even at the technological level, they built safeguards into their most powerful weapons, perhaps as a way to control their own ambitions.
Wouldn't that make it unreliable in certain situations? What if you needed to break the rules to achieve a greater good?
It's a valid point. It raises questions about the rigidity of their code, the potential for conflict between individual morality and the dictates of their technology.
Let's talk about the GRT-73 ground pounder. This heavy assault suit is all about seismic power. Think earthquakes and shockwaves.
The ground pounder sounds like a force of nature, capable of shaking the very foundations of their enemies.
It has this ability called seismic pulse, where it sends out shockwaves that knock down enemies, crack the ground, or imagine the chaos that would cause on a battlefield.
It's a devastating area of effect attack, perfect for disrupting enemy formations and creating havoc.
But there's a catch. The book warns that seismic pulse has a nasty habit of shattering anything fragile in your pack. So leave the potion vials at home.
It's a reminder that even the most advanced technology has its limitations, its quirks. Sometimes those quirks can be humorous, even amidst the seriousness of warfare.
And apparently the ground pounder spirit Vornok is a bit of a troublemaker, if you value subtlety.
Imagine trying to sneak up on someone while wearing a suit that makes every step feel like an earthquake. Not exactly stealthy.
Right, but it does add a layer of personality to the suit, a sense that these aren't just mindless machines. They have a spark of something more, something almost human.
It makes you wonder about the nature of these spirits. Were they created by the planar Imperium, or were they something else entirely, drawn to the power of these suits?
All right, things are about to get heated. Let's talk about the TMP-39 pyroclast. The book describes it as radiating a constant, intense heat.
The pyroclast sounds like a living inferno, a suit designed to burn its enemies to ashes.
It's made from blackened obsidian-like plating with glowing crimson lines, and its core, the infernal ember core, is described as a fusion of planar fire essence and ancient technomagic.
They weren't just playing with fire, they were mastering it, channeling its essence into their technology. It speaks to their audacity, their willingness to push the boundaries of both science and magic.
And its abilities are just as scorching. There's the immolation aura, which creates a zone of burning heat around the wearer, and molten strike, which superheats the gauntlets for devastating melee attacks.
They turned a suit of armor into a walking furnace, capable of incinerating anything in its path. It makes you wonder what kind of battles would require such overwhelming firepower.
But here's the twist. The book mentions the pyroclast spirit Ignis is as volatile as a wildfire. It demands respect and can even turn against a wearer who lacks the will to control it.
It's a reminder that the line between mastery And destruction is thin indeed. To wield such power, you'd need not only physical strength, but also an unyielding will, a mind capable of controlling the very forces that could consume you.
The book doesn't go into detail, but it mentions that Ignis has a scorched history. I think we can let our imaginations fill in the blanks on that one.
Definitely. Some things are best left to the imagination.
Okay, let's cool things down a bit. With the FRZ-02 Glacius, remember this is the one that harnesses the power of ice. It's described as having a sleek, reflective surface, almost like a mirror, with frost patterns that shimmer like living snowflakes.
The Glacius is fascinating. It's both beautiful and terrifying. It reminds us that the Planar Imperium wasn't just about brute force. They
Yeah.
also valued artistry and precision.
And its core, the Cryomancer's node, channels the primordial cold from the plane of ice. Imagine wielding the power of an entire plane of existence.
It's a testament to their understanding of magic, their ability to tap into forces that most civilizations wouldn't even dream of. But it also raises questions about the potential consequences of such power.
Right. The book mentions that cold, ancient hunger residing within its core, and there are rumors that it contains a fragment of eternal winter, a force that nearly froze an entire plane.
It's like they captured a piece of a cosmic force and turned it into a weapon. What would happen if that force was unleashed? Would it be possible to control it, or would it consume everything in its path?
Okay, one more suit before we wrap up this segment. The PLN-33 Astral Voyager, the one designed for interplanar exploration.
The Astral Voyager is a symbol of the Planar Imperium's insatiable curiosity, their desire to explore the unknown, to venture into other dimensions, to unlock the secrets of reality itself.
It has this ability called planar shift, where it can create a temporary portal to another plane. Imagine the possibilities, stepping through a doorway and finding yourself in a completely different reality.
They were literally tearing holes in the fabric of space and time. What wonders did they discover, and what dangers did they encounter?
Here's the thing. The book mentions that planar shift has a chance of attracting unwanted attention from interdimensional entities.
It's a reminder that exploring the unknown always comes with risks. You never know what you might find on the other side of that portal.
Imperium's Finest paints a fascinating picture of the Planar Imperium, their technology, their culture, their ambitions, and perhaps even their flaws.
It's a story of incredible innovation, but also a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power. It makes you wonder, did their reach ultimately exceed their grasp?
It really makes you think, what treasures and dangers might still be out there, hidden in the ruins of the Planar Imperium?
It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? Imagine stumbling upon a catch of these suits today. The implications are staggering.
Right. It could reshape the world as we know it. What if a powerful corporation or a rogue nation got their hands on this tech? It could shift the balance of power overnight.
Or imagine the scientific breakthroughs we could achieve if we could study these suits, understand how they integrated magic and technology so seamlessly it could revolutionize fields like energy production, material science, even medicine.
And think about the historical insights we could gain. These suits, these weapons, they're not just pieces of technology, they're artifacts, windows into a lost civilization. Imagine the stories they could tell.
It would be a historian's dream come true, a chance to piece together the puzzle of the Planar Imperium, to understand their culture, their beliefs, their triumphs and failures.
Okay, before we get too carried away with hypotheticals, let's get back to Imperium's Finest. We've talked a lot about the suits themselves, but the book also goes into detail about their other gear, weapons, vehicles, and some truly mind-blowing stuff.
You're talking about those arcane rifles.
Right.
Imagine a weapon that can fire blasts of necrotic energy, or beams of pure radiant light, or even something as strange and terrifying as void energy.
It's like they weaponized the very forces of creation and destruction.
And it speaks to their incredible mastery of both magic and science. They weren't just harnessing energy, they were shaping it, focusing it, turning it into weapons of unimaginable power.
And then there are the summoner's implements. These things could summon entities from other planes, bind spirits to their will, even open rifts in space itself.
It's almost like they had access to an infinite toolbox of tactical options. Need some extra firepower, summon a demon, need to outmaneuver your enemies, open a portal behind their lines.
The possibilities are endless and a little bit terrifying, if you think about it.
Right. Makes you wonder, did they ever hesitate? Did they ever question the wisdom of wielding such power? Or were they so confident, so driven by their ambition that they never stopped to consider the consequences.
Let's not forget about their vehicles. Imperium's Finest describes a whole range of combat vehicles, tanks, scouting vehicles, even artillery platforms that could rain down destruction for miles away.
It suggests a military doctrine that was both sophisticated and adaptable. They understood the importance of mobility, of firepower, of coordinating different types of units to achieve their objectives.
And they weren't just relying on conventional tactics. They had those sentient battle constructs, giant magically animated machines that could fight alongside their troops.
Imagine seeing an army of those things marching towards you. It'd be like something out of a nightmare. But it also raises some interesting questions about the nature of consciousness and artificial intelligence. Were these constructs truly sentient? Did they have their own thoughts, feelings, motivations?
It's a question that philosophers and scientists have been grappling with for centuries, and Imperium's Finest throws another log on that fire. It makes you wonder if the planar Imperium ever considered the ethical implications of creating such beings, or did they simply see them as tools, extensions of their own will?
It's hard to say, for sure. But it's clear that they weren't afraid to push the boundaries of what was possible, even if it meant venturing into uncharted territory, both ethically and technologically.
So we've explored the power armor, the weapons, the vehicles, the sentient constructs. It's clear that the planar Imperium was a civilization of incredible innovation and ambition. But their story also serves as a warning, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reminds us that knowledge and power, no matter how advanced, can be used for both good and evil. It's up to us, the inheritors, to learn from their mistakes and ensure that we use our own technological advancements wisely and responsibly.
It's a heavy thought, but an important one. And it's something we should all keep in mind as we continue to explore the world around us, both the physical and the technological.
We've reached the end for a deep dive into the world of Imperium's Finest and the planar Imperium. It's been a journey of discovery, awe, and even a little bit of trepidation.
Who knows what other secrets are still out there, buried beneath the dust of ages? What other wonders and dangers await those who dare to seek them?
It's a question that will continue to inspire explorers, historians, and dreamers for generations to come.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the wonders and the warnings of a lost civilization.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe.